Hi, Tamara here. Welcome to my channel. I have a fun video for you today, and it is a requested video, and it is all about my favorite makeup tools, sponges, and brushes. For most of my life, my favorite tools were my fingers, and they are still excellent tools. They're excellent for working concealer in, applying BB and CC cream. You know, for most of my life, I had one makeup brush. Then enter the wonderful world of YouTube 5 years ago, and oh my, I saw these amazing makeup artists and amazing ladies putting this gorgeous makeup on, and they were whipping around millions of brushes, Sigma this and MAC 217 that. It was really overwhelming. Slowly but surely, through watching YouTube and lots of research and tons of trial and error, I have found some makeup sponges and brushes that not only make my makeup application easier, faster, prettier, and just make the process all that much more enjoyable. So if you want to see my top 10 makeup tools, sponges, and brushes, stay tuned. We are going to get into it right now. My most used brush of all time, I use it every single day, is this Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. This is actually an eyeshadow brush, but I don't use it for eyeshadow. It is dome shaped, it is pretty dense, but it is very, very soft. And how I use this brush is to apply my corrector. And the reason I love this brush so much is it fits perfectly into that dark inner corner. Now, I still love to blend my corrector and concealer with my fingers, but I really do enjoy applying it with this brush because I feel like that gives me a little bit more of an even application. Very, very affordable. Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. I have several of these. Again, my number one most used brush of anything I'm going to share with you is the very affordable Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. All right, the next step of my makeup application is foundation. When I wear it, I don't wear foundation every single day. Sometimes I use a BB or a CC cream, and for me, my favorite tools for that type of product is still my fingers. But on days where I'm wearing foundation, my current go-to application method is to apply my foundation with a brush and then blend it in with a sponge. My favorite foundation brush currently is the BK Beauty 106. This is a dense but very, very soft. I love the size. I love the texture. And what I'll do is I'll put foundation on my hand, I'll work it into the brush, and then I will apply it very evenly over my face. I will do just a little bit of blending with this brush, but I don't typically do a swirling motion. I will also use the brush to take the foundation down my neck. Once I have an even layer of foundation on my skin, I like to finish blending it with a sponge. And my number one favorite sponge is super, super affordable. It is the e.l.f. Camo Concealer Sponge. This is an amazing sponge, and it is incredibly cheap. I think it's under $5, and it says it's a concealer sponge, but when you get it wet and squeeze it out, look at the size difference. This sponge, oh my gosh, it is soft as a cloud. It's perfect. I have several of these, very affordable. I use it for foundation. I will use it for concealer. I will even use it sometimes for cream blush. So my current go-to foundation application is my BK Beauty 106 wonderful brush and my e.l.f. Camo Concealer Sponge. I have heard so many people rave about this sponge, and I've tried a lot of sponges and nothing. I love this sponge, so affordable. Two alternatives to the BK Beauty 106, also very excellent. Again, we're going to go back to Real Techniques, and you will see this Real Techniques buffing brush is pretty much the same size and shape as the BK Beauty 106. Look at that. It's very, very similar. They both do the job, but I tend to prefer to reach for my BK Beauty. It's just that much more luxurious, but it is more expensive. a super affordable alternative to these two brushes. And I just picked this up recently and it is surprisingly good. This is the e.l.f. Putty Primer Applicator. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at that. They are the same size and shape. Do you see that? This is also excellent for applying foundation, for blending cream blush. I actually picked this up when I picked up the e.l.f. Putty Blush, and I used this to apply the putty brush, and I loved it so much I bought a couple of them. You know, for my favorite brushes, if I use them over and over again, I do like to have multiples because it's very important to have clean brushes. So my favorite foundation brush currently, BK Beauty 106, love it. Excellent alternative, Real Techniques buffing brush, and even more affordable is the e.l.f. Putty Primer Applicator. For a long time, my favorite and most used powder blush brush, that's hard to say, blush brush, was again the Real Techniques blush brush. Very affordable, under $10. You can see it's sort of pointed at the top, which I really like. So you can use the flat side to apply blush like that. You can use the tip. I had several of these because I would use one for blush, one for bronzer, one for powder. They're very, very good. But currently, my favorite blush brushes is this Sephora Pro. I'm gonna have to keep my glasses on. I can't see. Sephora Pro Mini Airbrush 55.5. I got these at a Sephora sale. Sephora has really excellent brushes. They are moderately expensive, not super expensive, but they are definitely, you know, middle high end. And I love this for applying powder blush. It is just so soft. You can pat, you can buff, and I have discovered over time, I really do prefer for my face and the way I apply my powder blush to have a much smaller brush. I love these brushes. Again, I have two. Again, I like to have a backup, so I always have a clean brush. Then let's talk bronzer, especially powder bronzer. Again, like I said, for a long time, I had a dedicated Real Techniques blush brush, which I used for bronzer. However, I have now discovered a couple of brushes I like even more. And we are going to go back to BK Beauty. This is BK Beauty 107. I like the size of it. I like the fact that it is pinched. It is incredibly soft. You can see it is quite a bit smaller than the Real Techniques. And you know, I don't use a ton of bronzer, especially in the wintertime. I really like a small, soft brush because I can just get more control and precision. And the softness helps me not over apply the bronzer. I just found a pretty good dupe for this BK Beauty 107, and it is the e.l.f. Flawless Face Brush. Look at that. Literally the same size, the same shape. Oh, and so soft. This was my starter blush bronzer powder brush, and it does the job. It's just not quite as soft as the brushes that I am showing you. So my favorite bronzer brush currently is the BK Beauty 107, but if you're trying to determine if this is a good size and shape for you, pick up the e.l.f. Flawless Face Brush. Very affordable, excellent quality. It's a pretty good dupe. Okay, let's talk cream blush. Now, cream blush is very popular. I did a cream blush video, sort of a roundup video a few weeks ago, and certainly you can apply cream blush very easily and effectively with your fingers. I do really enjoy using a brush to apply it though, and when I purchased a whole bunch of those cream blushes for that video, I purchased this e.l.f. domed stipple brush. A stipple brush is quite good for blending cream blush because it doesn't pick up too much cream blush at one time. For instance, if you were to use a very dense brush, you might, you know, get tons of cream blush on there all at once, which is okay if you have a formula with a little bit less pigment. But if you have a really pigmented formula, for instance, like the Honest Beauty Cream Blush, I really like this e.l.f. domed stipple brush to apply that Honest Beauty Cream Blush. Another brush I have used for years for cream blush and bronzer. Again, Real Techniques, and this is the Real Techniques contour brush. Again, really nice size, dense, domed, and you know, you can pat products on, you can buff products on. I'm sure there are, and you can also use a sponge to apply and blend cream blushes. So, you know, cream blushes, I'm still sort of exploring and trying to find the best tools, but right now I love using a stipple brush. I love using this contour brush, and certainly my fingers and sponges are excellent as well. We're moving right along here. The next step in a makeup routine, and I don't do either of these steps every day, and I'm talking about setting and highlighting. So to set the under eye area, which again I don't do every single day, I have this e.l.f. blush brush. What I like about it, it is very flat, it is very soft. You can just pick up a little tiny bit of powder and just press it. Not swipe it, but just press it under the eyes. Like I said, I don't set my under eyes that often, but when I do, this is a very effective brush, very affordable. This is also really excellent for powder highlighter. Again, it's just a really nice brush to pat product on. My other favorite, this brush is iconic. This is the Real Techniques setting brush. Most of the YouTubers that I follow have at least one of these Real Techniques setting brushes in their collection. Again, excellent for setting, excellent for highlight. In fact, there's a YouTuber here. Her name is Shelby Wilson. She's much younger, but I really enjoy her videos because she always does very natural and very beautiful makeup, and she loves cream products. And she has often talked about this Real Techniques setting brush as her most used, most favorite brush. In fact, she did a really fun video where this is the only brush she used for her entire face of makeup. I will link that video below because it was pretty fun. Anyway, Real Techniques setting brush. I think they do sell this one singly. Very affordable. I really recommend picking it up. It's really nice. My favorite brush, the brush that I am showing you that brings me the most joy, is the BK Beauty 102 powder brush. Oh my gosh, it is just so incredibly soft. It applies powder lightly, beautifully. You can pat the powder on, you can buff the powder on. I could just sit here and touch my face. I could really just sit here and touch my face with this brush. It is so gorgeous. It's like bunny feet dancing on your face. And I didn't make that up. Kate the Great Beauty, who's a YouTuber here that I enjoy, has said that a couple of times. This is a gorgeous brush. It is more expensive. I can't remember how much it is, but it is definitely not cheap. But I love it and I highly recommend it. BK Beauty 102 powder brush. This is the one brush in my collection that brings me the most joy just by touching my face. Let's talk eyeshadow, and I'm going to simplify this as much as possible because for me, my eyeshadow application is in general pretty natural. You know, a few years ago, I had no idea where to start with eyeshadow brushes. And so I was watching Angie Hot and Flashy, and she had recommended purchasing a Beauty Junkies eyeshadow brush set off of Amazon. And so I did. It was $20. I think there were 5 or 6 or 7 brushes. And what using that very affordable Beauty Junkies eyeshadow brush set taught me is I essentially use 2 types of brushes. There were some brushes in that set I just didn't use. And the 2 types of brushes that I use on a daily basis is 1, some sort of fluffy blending or crease brush, and 2, some sort of flat shader brush. Now within those 2 categories, I like to have a couple of different sizes and shapes. And the size and shapes and density and softness of the brushes that you are going to choose for yourself is going to be dependent on a couple of things. What size your eyes are. Are they big? Are they small? How much eyelid space you have. How much hooding you have. So I'm going to show you my favorites and then some alternatives. So let's talk first about fluffy blending brush. We have two. The BK Beauty 201, very soft, very fluffy, and then the BK Beauty 202. I think you can see that the 202 is a little bit more tapered, a little bit smaller. I really like to have both of these. I'm going to take my glasses off because the 201, I tend to leave this as clean as possible, and I will use this for a final blend. And the 202 with its tapered end is really good for precisely applying a transition shade right exactly where you want it. Because it is fluffy, it will also do some initial blending. These are my two favorite fluffy blending and crease brushes. Now a couple of alternatives and brushes I also really love is an IT Cosmetics fluffy blending brush. This is either 112 or 105. Again, I will list it in the description box. Super soft, really nice size, excellent not only for applying a transition color, but for blending it. In fact, I loved it so much, I purchased two. Once again, I like to keep one pretty clean for the final blend and one I use for application. Now, let's not forget Real Techniques. Real Techniques also has a fluffy blending brush. You can see it is quite a bit smaller than any of my other fluffy blending brushes, but it is also quite a bit less expensive. You know, one of the things I really like about this brush, it is flat, so it's essentially serving two different purposes. Because it's flat, it can be used to sort of pack a little bit of color onto the eyelid itself, and because it's fluffy, it can be used to apply and blend the transition color. I like this brush a lot. I tend not to use it as much because I really do prefer my IT Cosmetics and my BK Beauty, but it's a good brush and very, very affordable. So those are my fluffy blending brushes. Now let's talk about a flat shader brush. Flat shader brushes are for the purpose of applying and packing color onto the mobile eyelid. They are obviously flat. They are more dense and less fluffy, so they're really good for applying, patting, and packing color onto the eyelid. This IT Cosmetics flat shader brush, this is either the 112 or the 105, I will list it below, is one of my favorite, most used shader brushes. It's excellent for, it just fits my eyelid really well. And once again, it depends on the size of your eyes, it depends on the size of your eyelid. But this IT Cosmetics flat shader brush is really one of my top favorite shader brushes. It's just the perfect size, shape, and density to apply my eyeshadow onto my mobile lid. Now BK Beauty has a couple of flat shader brushes that I really love as well. And again, two different sizes. This is the 203 and this is the 206. So you can see the difference in size there. Let's talk about Real Techniques again. They have some really good shader brushes that I use almost every day. These are the Instapop eyeshadow brushes. They come in a set of two. There's a larger one and there is a very small one. Once again, I like to have the different sizes. This larger one, really nice for applying eyeshadow all over my lid, a little bit on the large side. I probably would not reach for this over my BK Beauty and over my IT Cosmetics, but I do keep it around because it is a nice brush. But the brush that I do use a lot is this little mini Instapop eyeshadow brush because it is such a great size. Let me show you in comparison. So here is the IT, right? Here is the BK Beauty, and here is the Real Techniques. You can see the size difference. I really like to have small, medium, and a little bit larger. I use all three of these on a regular basis. In summary, eyeshadow brushes, breaking it down to the very basics. First of all, it might be a good idea to buy an affordable eyeshadow brush set, just so that you can experiment with what size and style of eyeshadow brushes you really prefer to use. But for me, my two main brush types are fluffy blending and crease brush, again, a couple different sizes, and a flat shader brush, again, a couple of different sizes. And I'm good to go. Now, miscellaneous tools. Everybody needs a spoolie, right? You definitely don't have to spend much money on a spoolie. And then I really do like to have at least one angled eyeliner brush. This is an old Sonia Kashuk. It's really good for powder on your eyebrows. It can be good for powdered eyeliner. I don't tend to use this that much, but I'm really glad I have it. And last but not least, we have to make a mention to the importance of washing your brushes and sponges on a regular basis, especially with the liquid and the cream products. You know, the powder products, you can go a little bit longer between times, but I probably wash my makeup sponges like every other application. Luckily, these e.l.f. Camo Concealer sponges wash like a dream. All of these brushes wash really well. So I have this little Real Techniques silicone, almost like a glove that I can hold in my hand, and I will go to the kitchen sink, and I have a little bit of e.l.f. makeup brush cleanser, and I will squeeze the shampoo in there, add a little water, and then I will just work that shampoo and the water into the brush. This silicone pad helps get the product out of the brush. I don't use super hot water, and I don't soak my brushes. I will then rinse as well as I can under running water, give it a good shake, and I dry them upside down. I will take a rubber band. There's drying racks you can buy, which are very convenient. I don't have one. What I just do is I take a rubber band and hang it from a hook, so that we want to avoid getting water built up in the, is it called the ferrule? You know, we don't want to loosen the glue, so we want to avoid hot water, and we want to avoid soaking the base, because ultimately with too much hot water and too much soaking of the base, the bristles and the ferrule can loosen from the handle. All right, thank you for hanging in there with me. We covered a lot of ground. Of course, I will list all the products in the description box below, so you can do your own research and comparisons, and perhaps even some shopping. I would love to hear about your favorite products, sponges, brushes. I learned so much from you ladies. Thank you for hanging in there with me. I always so appreciate the time that you spend with me. I hope you have a great day and a wonderful week, and I hope to see you in my video next Sunday. Thank you. Bye. Is this Sephora Pro? Oh my God, I can't see you guys. Sizes of face, sizes of our face are excellent alternative. What is this? What is this? Is the light okay here?